Hey guys, what is going on? It's that special time of the year where we all become amateur All Black selectors. Scott Robinson's going to name his squad on Monday, but I'm going to have a crack at mine. This is not going to be a very stat-heavy video. There are plenty of content creators who will do that, break down all the granular detail. This is a gut feel video, and what I really hope for is that we have a great conversation in the comments, and you tell me who you like, and if you disagree with what I've put out here, let me know. Tell me why I'm wrong. I honestly invite that. Let's start with number 1, Mighty Williams. This guy is back for the Crusaders for the grand final, and sure enough, he'll be back for the All Blacks if he gets through that unscathed. He has simply become a colossus. He's a man mountain, great at the set piece, unbelievably agile for his size. One of the first names you're going to write in. But we're going to go with a newcomer in this position, Ollie Norris. What do I like about this guy? Well, for me, it's the defense. Tackling in the 90% range. The accuracy's there. The dominant tackles are there. The set piece stability's there. You know, the Chiefs have had a pretty much Rolls-Royce run up front. When the tight five is clicked, everything flows from that. And this guy has really been a stalwart. I believe he deserves a spot in the All Blacks. And I think there's room for him to grow. And that's why I still have Ethan de Groot, who may not be the most popular All Black these days. How short your memories are. Some people are saying he shouldn't even be in the All Blacks this year. I'm not one of those people. You got to remember, this guy's playing for the Wooden Spoon team, the 11th ranked Highlanders. That hasn't helped him. Now, I'm not saying this has been a vintage season. I'm not saying it's been a poor season either. It's been mid by his standards, but I think you get him around other All Blacks and his game is going to pop to a different level. I just think this guy brings it in the black jersey, and frankly, he's still showing a lot of heart and toil for the Highlanders, even in a season that was clearly going down the gurgler. So he's got to be in there. We'll go to the other side in a minute, but let's take a break for the hookers. No surprises here. Cody Taylor, the incumbent, so good against South Africa last year. Really led the charge against the Box. If we're going to beat the Box in New Zealand a couple times, which would be nice, you need a guy like him out there. Not much explanation required there. He's done it all. Samisoni Takiaho, he stormed his way back into good form. They kind of brought him in with a little bit of a gently approach. He was coming off the bench a bit for the Chiefs, but now you're seeing that big engine revving up, and I've just loved his passion. The big smile I've seen on his face at times, whooping, celebrating, leading his comrades on. There's been some good leadership from him. He's become experienced. He's become a wily vet. And he can't get back in that black jersey soon enough. Alongside Asafo Amua. Yeah, he's had some injury concerns this year. His stats are a little down compared to last year. I think you have to remember that end-of-year tour last year up to Europe. He was outstanding. He wasn't just a wrecking ball. He tidied up his line-out work. He was good in the set piece. I think the coaches know how to get the best out of him. I believe if he goes from the Canes back into the All Blacks, he's a player that will also lift a gear. So I need him in there. Just the way he hits, that physicality, man, we need that against the big packs like South Africa, against England, against Ireland, hell, against the French, our first assignment. This guy might be the hardest hitter in the All Blacks, certainly one of them. But let's move over to the other side of the front row. Pasilio Tosi. Well, this picture sums it up well. He's so dynamic around the field. He breaks the line. He offloads. This is kind of the blueprint for the modern prop. It's not just pushing in the scrums, not just the set piece, not just lifting the locks. It's this kind of stuff. And he's one of the best doing it in New Zealand. He had that breakout season last year that got him catapulted into the All Blacks. I think his form has been similar. Maybe hasn't quite hit the heights of last year, but a bit of time's already been invested in this guy. I say we keep him growing. Tyrell Lomax. Gotta have him in there. Hasn't played too many minutes this year. The Canes have cycled through their front row options, and he was a little bit dinged up at the start of the season. That may not be a bad thing that he hasn't played too much. I don't think he's going to be too jaded. Obviously, the Canes are not in the playoff mix at this point, so he's had a chance to rest. This guy's had a lot of minutes for the All Blacks in recent years, so a little bit of a lighter workload may actually prove to be a blessing. For me, though, this is one of the first names you write down, and I do still think that we'll be seeing that Ethan de Groot, Tyrell Lomax propping combination at some point this year. Despite the rise of Tamati Williams, I do think you'll get that old firm back together. And then you got this man, Fletcher Newell, Mr. Versatility, wins scrum penalties for the Crusaders, rock solid in the set piece. Probably not a starter, but a guy that you would feel very comfortable putting on the bench. Here we go, guys. Tupou Vaa'i. Amazing season. Obviously, as we can see in this picture, this man is a bit of an aerial master. He's blossoming into a world-class lock, but he's rangy. He's good around the field. He's had 10 offloads this season, and they've all been money. So he's got a dexterity. He's got an offloading game that I like. And his defense has really gone up a level this year. There have been some big hits, some physicality. Remember, he flirted with the number 6 position a bit at times. Didn't quite shine there for the All Blacks. This guy's matured, though. I see him as a 6 option for the All Blacks going forward, but when we get to the Lucies, you're going to see there's already a logjam of players. So for now, keep him in the middle, and Patrick Tuipulotu may not be starting, but he'll be coming off the bench. He hasn't done much wrong for the Blues. He's signed on for a couple more years with NZR. He's got that abrasiveness, that ability to pick and go. We're going to need that. We're going to need that in the tight, that grunt. He invariably gives that off the bench. Got to be in the squad, man. Got to be in the squad. This guy's probably going to be the All Blacks captain. Am I picking him as the All Blacks captain? I'm not. Ardie Savea is my captain. However, I think that Razor will go with this guy. And not to be contradictory, but I don't really have an issue with that because I understand why. There's a shorthand here. All those years together for the Crusaders, all those meetings behind closed doors, all those text messages, all those phone calls. That means something. You need an almost tacit understanding with your captain, nonverbal communication. I think these guys get each other. They're in each other's heads, so I think he will be the All Blacks captain. I'm fine with that. I'm just not sure how I could really go past Ardie Savea after he put in the best individual season I've ever seen in Super Rugby. But we'll get to that because there's one more lock we got to touch on first, and it's this man, Fabian Holland. The time has come. The time has come. I think this is a better option than Sam Darry, who didn't convince me in the All Blacks last year. Now, admittedly, a young and experienced player, may grow, may blossom. I have a completely open mind on that, but I haven't seen it yet. Whereas this guy, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it in the clean out. I'm seeing it in the tight stuff. I'm certainly seeing it in the line out for the Highlanders. And again, impressive stuff when you consider how patchy the Highlanders really were this year. If you could shine for the Highlanders, you're really doing something right. That particularly applies to a player that we're going to get to in the back line. So stick with me here, guys. On to the Lucies. I thought I'd put this one up front because this will get an interesting response from people. I think Cullen Gray should be in there. I think he has been someone I've wanted to see back in the All Black jersey. He's had an injury-wrecked couple of years. Now, he has been capped for the All Blacks. Didn't get a look in last year. You might think there are more dynamic players. You might think there are more exciting players, and I don't disagree with that. In fact, I'm about to name some of them. But what I think he offers is a point of difference. I often say that this guy is kind of the glue that can hold the pack together. You look at the work he does in a rolling maul, off the ball, holding that thing together. You look at what he does in the lineouts. You look at his presence at the breakdown. He's Mr. Reliable. Now, he's given away more penalties than I would have liked this year. That somewhat undermines my case. But all I can tell you is I've wanted this guy back in the mix. I think we have a range of power athletes. I'm about to show you some of them. And I just think this guy has a complementary skill set. I'd like to see him out there with a Satiti, with a Lakai, with a Savea. I think he's got a lot to contribute to the team. So I'm putting him in there. You have to put Satiti in. Breakthrough rookie World Rugby Player of the Year last year, and can't wait for him to hopefully go from strength to strength. We'll see how he goes in this grand final on the weekend. You know, in the space of one short year, he's become one of the first names you write down. Now they're going to play him at 6. That's where he spent most of his time last year, so I wouldn't be surprised. But there's something to be said for, you know, maybe a Cullen Grace at 6, Ardie Savea at 7, Wallace Satiti at 8. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Peter Lakai's got to be in there. Maybe not his best Super Rugby season, but you look at that end of year tour last year. You look at how he played against France. I saw so much promise in him. I think he is perhaps the heir apparent to Ardie Savea, and we just need to keep pouring some international minutes into this guy. Got to take a look at Duplessis Karifi. Now, he's not the biggest guy, but man, he hits hard, low center of gravity, only given away a handful of penalties this year, and that's why he gets in. He's cleaned up his game a lot. The leadership role has really seen him mature. I think you've got to take a look at him. Now, there's a guy like Simon Parker, right? A lot of you want to see him in there for the All Blacks. I get it. He has been incredible for the Chiefs, really dynamic. But this guy's been knocking on the door for a while, and I just think you need to take a closer look at him in the black jersey. Now's the time. If he's going to factor into 2027, now's the time to take a look. Obviously, Ardie Savea is in there. He's your starting 7. He's the captain in my squad. I don't even think I need to elaborate. What he did for Moana Pacifica this year was nothing short of inspirational, and excited to see him back in the black jersey. We're certainly going to need him if we're going to up the winning percentage this year over Razor's inaugural effort, which was not bad, 10 out of 14. We'd feel better if they'd just beaten Argentina and Wellington, honestly. Like, you never want to lose to South Africa in South Africa, but there's not much shame in it either. Happens to the best of them. But yeah, that one loss to Argentina at home last year still rankles. If it had been an 11 out of 14 season, we'd probably feel better. But as I said, with Ardie Savea running around, the chances of an All Blacks win go up dramatically. Samipeni Finau, still a bit of an enigma. And this is one where maybe you would prefer Simon Parker in there. I get that. The reason I've picked him, it's not just because some of the flashy runs he does, some of the big hits he puts in. It's this. He's a line-out option. He's a bona fide line-out option. I think that is very helpful for the ABs. He's a guy that you feel he's just on the cusp of clicking and bringing it all together. It hasn't happened yet in the black jersey, but they've invested time. I think you've got to give him a little bit more time. Give him time in the black jersey this year. So who is my final loose forward? Well, it's a guy that can play a couple different positions. He can be a 7, he can be an 8, he can be a 6. I know you're worried it's Ethan Blackadder. It's actually not, and I think Ethan Blackadder has been in very good form the last few weeks. If I just pretend it's not Mr. Injury-prone, made out of glass himself, and I look at him, this is player X. He's doing amazing stuff. He's a good linkman. He just hits everything so hard. He gives it his all. He bleeds for his team. And he'll be on injury reserve. But I'm going with Luke Jacobson. I just think his leadership has gone to a different level this year. Very abrasive, very good defensively. Fewer penalties given away. I think he's got to be there in the mix. So look, the Lucies, it was a tough one. You know, I think that Blackadder will probably get the call up from Razor. He seems to pick him if he's fit. So one of the other names is going to miss out. Probably Duplessis Karifi. But this is just my 2 cents, guys. This is who I'd like to see out there. Let's move on to the backs. Has to be Cam Roigard, best halfback in New Zealand. Cortez Aratama, really good running lines this year. Support lines. I think that's gone to a different level. He was always able to break, make a lot of post-contact meters, but I just think he's actually linking up a bit better than he has in the past. So his game keeps maturing. That's very exciting. Who's the third halfback? Well, look, we've seen Funaki be good. We've seen Folau Fakatava be good. We've even seen the Crusaders replacement, Kyle Preston, putting his hand up for an All Black jersey. But I'm going with the incumbent Crusaders halfback, Noah Hotham. I think he is absolutely brilliant. His sniping around the ruck is something very useful for us. Very, very useful in straightening the attack. He does it better than just about any halfback in the competition. I think his defense is surprisingly good as well. Not the biggest guy, but he really puts his body on the line for the cause. I'm hoping he gets a lot more minutes this year, and I'm imagining he's going to be passing the ball to Beauden Barrett. How do you go past Bodie? He's been brilliant. Now, Damian McKenzie has flashier statistics, but Barrett has been just sensational since he returned for the Blues. So much experience there. Does not play like a 34-year-old. I think that there is enough juice left to be squeezed out of this guy that we get all the way to the Rugby World Cup in 2027. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. But D-Mac is, of course, the other 10. And for me, he's probably the starting 10. I think Beauden Barrett gives you great insurance off the bench. He also covers fullback. But D-Mac is the man. And his goal kicking has been terrific. It's actually been 80.6%. Barrett's somewhere around that 75-76%. So they've both had their kicking boots on this year. But I just think McKenzie has an X factor that you'd be mad to leave out of the starting team. Let's move on to the midfield. Geordie comes right back in from Leinster. Now, I don't think he starts the first game. I think you got to give him a couple weeks maybe. I'd be warming him up to get him playing probably the third test against France because he might need a break. He's played a lot of minutes for Leinster, but he was terrific in the grand final, scored that amazing chip and chase kick, incredible athleticism. I think he'll have benefited and grown from his time in the North. I think the days are gone where we were sort of like smugly thinking, oh, well, you've got to earn your way back into the All Blacks. I mean, come on. The URC is a very good standard, despite what Stephen Donald might have said. And I think he's probably learned a few new tricks up there. So he goes right back in for me. Let's not muck around. This man has to be in there. Now, I just want to say I am going to go with 5 midfielders here. The reason for that is that Ioane can cover wing in a pinch. So I'm actually going to name one less winger and go with my pretty bulging midfield, but that's okay. I don't know if you can call him a bolter, but it would be his first cap. This guy has made 1,000 meters in Super Rugby. He has made 26 turnovers. He is a freak of nature. And what we need is sheer physicality in midfield. I actually like David Havili and his form this year for the Crusaders. He's not in my team. But what's missing from a guy like Havili, who's very skilled, good distributor, great kicker, good vision, he can't crunch into the line and just get that go forward. This is a guy who I think can spark something, got a couple rough edges, but I feel he's a match winner if allowed to be. So he's got to be in the squad. He has done more than enough. Now's the time. Another guy who's played his way in is Quinn Tupaia. Straightens the line beautifully. Man, he deserves it. You know, he had a gnarly injury that he picked up against the Wallabies. He was out for a long time. Well, he's played his way back into the black jersey. And again, it's that physical crunch that we've been missing a little bit in the midfield at times. So got to have him here. Billy Proctor has to be there at 13, the best distributing center in New Zealand. I think he can actually free up the outsides much better than Reiko Ioane can. So I want to see him starting some big games for the All Blacks. Love to see him starting against France. Does that mean I've omitted Reiko? No, I haven't. I know a lot of you want to. I know he's going to Leinster next year, but he's very much in Razor's plans for 2027. So even if he does his sabbatical, goes to Leinster next year, I don't think you let him go cold on the All Blacks. He's also wing cover, just like Ioane. He's still good enough to be in my squad. Moving on to the outside, Sevu Reece. You know, I'm not the world's biggest Sevu Reece fan. He did get the all-time try-scoring record this year, which must be acknowledged. Now, that's built on previous seasons. He has picked up 8 tries. He's been in good form. Perhaps not as many turnovers as he's had in the past, but he's still a guy that can spark something from nothing. This was a tough one. When you see who I've left out, you'll see why I felt very conflicted with these picks. Gonna go with Caleb Clark. Not his best season, hasn't scored a try, but I just think he needs to get back into that All Blacks environment and he will lift. He is the best power winger we have in the game. He's very good under the high ball, has those AFL-esque skills. He's got to be out there as a point of difference. Leroy Carter. I'm going with him over Emoni Narawa. Very difficult decision. It's just a gut feel. This guy reminds me of a young Zach Gilford, just on form. Zach Gilford has a very checkered past as a human being. Put that aside. This guy graduated through the Sevens program, right? Played Sevens for New Zealand. There's just something about him. There's an X factor. And he doesn't look like the biggest guy, but he can absolutely bowl people over. The way he manages to stay on the field when he's hugging the touchline is really impressive. Strong hips, strong thighs, strong glutes. Just a powerhouse. And I want to see him given a shot at the next level. Now, look, there's an argument to be made for Emoni Narawa. He's tasted the black jersey before. He's been very unfortunate. He was injured at the World Cup. That was a bummer. He had to go home. Only briefly cited last year and then didn't get any more minutes. Seemingly didn't do anything wrong, but he hasn't really been in Razor's good graces. So I can understand maybe you want to keep the Emoni Narawa project going. But for me, a bit like Ioane, I just saw some X factor and something special in this kid that made me want to see it at an All Black level, see if that super form can be replicated. Because if it can, we might have a special strike weapon here. Moving on to fullback, Will Jordan, obviously, to me, the best fullback in the world. I'm not even going to elaborate on this. I doubt anybody would disagree with this pick. But finally, I'm going to round it out with Ruben Love, who I'm a big fan of, and he's also my third number 10. Now, remember, I only named 2, Beauden Barrett and Damien McKenzie, but this guy would cover first 5. I think he should get some more minutes there, maybe play him there against, I mean, not that they're an easy team, but play him against Argentina, have him go there off the bench against Argentina, maybe against Australia, maybe against Wales on the end of year tour. That would be a safer bet. But give him a moment in the number 10 jersey. So, guys, that's my squad of 35. Look, it was a really hard one to name, and I don't envy the All Blacks coaches because some really good players miss out. I think the biggest ones that I omitted and feel guilty about are Ethan Blackadder, who really does always give it his all, Simon Parker, who has been terrific for the Chiefs, and Emoni Narawa, who has also been excellent for the Chiefs. So what do you guys think? Anything you majorly disagree with? Do you like my picks? Sound off in the comments. Please like, subscribe, send this video to someone who loves rugby, and I'll be back for another one real soon. Take it easy, guys. Bye for now.